Hey everybody, Jake here from Bearded Gear, and I've got a full review to do for you on the Cold Steel Code 4. This is a really interesting knife. This was sent to me by my buddy YD Knives. His link to his Instagram will be down in the description below. He's been super generous. He's sent me a bunch of knives at this point. I have 4 knives right now, including this one, that are his. As soon as I send these back, he's sending me more. Super cool guy. Give him support. He's got an awesome knife collection, post cool photos. I don't know what more you want from an Instagram account. Anyway, this is his Code 4. The only thing not stock about this knife, from what I understand, is this MXG gear clip that is on it, which is pretty crazy. If you can see how deep that goes, this puts the knife like way deeper than the clip in the pocket, so it's ultra deep carry. But yeah, this is, if you haven't watched my unboxing or my first impressions of this, I grew up on Cold Steels. I lived in Ventura County. Cold Steel's headquarters are in Ventura. My dad liked Cold Steels and owned a lot of their knives, especially like fixed blades, outdoor style knives. We had a lot of Cold Steels. I had their machetes, I had their tomahawks, I had one of their spears, I had their halberd at one point, like the giant pole axe with a war hammer on the back. I've had crazy Cold Steel stuff growing up. And in fact, my brother's friends used to have all kinds of fun nicknames for me because I would literally, we had a backyard that was large but undeveloped. And so it was just like free growing, like basically brush a lot of the time. And I had spears and tomahawks and stuff. And I would practice chucking spears and tomahawks at like smallish or large even targets, like old boogie boards and old trash bins and stuff from like 30 yards away. And they'd come over and look out the back windows, and I'd be out there with my Cold Steel crazy gear that I watched on their videos, just like practicing throwing spears and stuff. Crazy. Lynn Thompson was my childhood spirit animal. So I have this like natural kind of affinity for Cold Steel, but I also kind of like laugh about it. Hopefully you don't all judge me for my childhood based on that information, or my parents for letting me do that kind of stuff when I was literally like 10. Anyway, this Cold Steel is one that I almost bought years ago. Like, I don't know how long this knife had been out for, but I think it was one of their newer models at the time. And it was before I was in the hobby like I am now. I always carried knives. My entire life have been into knives and edged weapons in general, as you can tell. But when I was looking at this knife, it was more expensive than I was spending on knives at the time. I had a couple of knives that were as or more expensive than this, but were either given to me or were like for a special thing. And so when I was looking at this, it was just like me looking to buy a knife, and it was a little more than I wanted to spend or could justify based on my budget at the time. And so I didn't get one. And so it's really funny that YD Knives sent this to me, because it's one of the Cold Steels that in recent years, as I've started collecting knives, I've just kind of been curious to check one out to see if I was right about it being cool all that time ago. And if you've watched enough of my videos now, you'll know that I'm not a fan of backlocks. If you want to dive deeper into that, I'd recommend that you watch the couple of video series I did of trying the fluted carbon fiber Native 5, which I still own and I carry a lot. That knife I love, even though it's a backlock. But my complaints of backlocks are that I like to fidget with my knives, and backlocks, in my opinion, suck to fidget with. That's really kind of it. Like, as a lock type, it's a very strong lock. I'm pretty sure this one is the Cold Steel Triad lock, which the fanboys of will tell you all day long that it's the strongest lock type that's ever existed. And anyways, it's a great solid lockup. Do I have other lock types fail on me? I never have. Never had a liner lock fail on me. Never had an axis lock fail on me. Never had a compression lock fail on me. Never had a frame lock fail on me. So I'm not like worried about my folding knives having locks that fail on me. That said, it's a great thing to have a stronger lock. I'm going to always look at that as a positive, but I feel like you sacrifice too much in terms of the way the action works. I like deployments that have a detent. Backlocks, in my experience, don't have detents. You're dealing with this like weird tension of the bar, and it's just a different thing, and I don't prefer it. And so if you like backlocks, more power to you. I don't, and I won't. I don't see myself changing on that. There are few diamonds in the rough, like that fluted carbon fiber Native 5, which like I said, I own it and I carried a lot. It's one of my favorite Spydercos for every reason other than the lock. I still wish it wasn't a backlock. So, am I going to own one of these? No. But if you like backlocks, I recommend you should, because this is a great knife. What I've come to learn about it from, I've had these knives from him for like 10 days. I've been trying to only have loaners for like a week, and right when I get them, I unbox them, and then the next day or two, I do my first impressions, and when it's been a week, I do my full review. But with how many knives I've been buying lately, being sent lately, all of it, it wouldn't be fair to review a knife after a week, because with how many things I'm trying to get in pocket and have experiences with, it took me longer than that to have enough experiences with this and this whole batch of knives he sent me to feel like I could really honestly review it based on experience. It's very important to me that if I'm going to review a knife from a position of telling you how it cuts and how it performs, that I have tested its performance, and I have cut with it, and I've carried it in a variety of pants, and I've said all that before, but I always want to reiterate it. So this knife has been in my possession for, give or take, 10, 11 days. And I've had it in a variety of pockets. It's too big for me to carry as a secondary, so it has only been carried by me as a primary, but it's stupid slim, like really, really slim, and I like that about it. It's really comfortable in the pocket. I don't know how it is with the factory clip, because it was sent to me with this one on it, but the way that it disappears with this, it's kind of funky looking having this tab sticking up over here, but it pockets really well, and you don't see any knife sticking out, which is kind of a cool thing. And it's just, the scales on here are so smooth that it goes in and out of pocket really easily. But with this MXG clip, it still has awesome retention, so it's just very comfortable to carry. Is it heavy? Yes and no. I wouldn't call this knife too heavy for its size. It does feel pretty heavy when you feel its dimensions, kind of, for how slim it is. But this is, I don't know if these, I assume they're aluminum. They might be titanium, but I'm pretty sure they're aluminum scales. You've got aluminum scales, and then this backlock takes up the whole back of the knife. You're not seeing through anything there. And then you've got a thick blade stock of S35VN. So like when this knife is closed, most knives, there's like some space inside somewhere where there's not metal. But this is just like, it's all knife here. Even when it's folded, I can't imagine if you could X-ray see through these scales that you'd see much of a gap between where the backlock mechanism is and where the blade ends. There's just, all of this is used real estate. The whole platform, the whole footprint of it is metal. And so it's not a lightweight knife, but it doesn't, I don't know, it feels really satisfying how everything about it is metallic and slim, and I don't know, it's different to me than most other knives that I have experience with. So ergonomically, very comfortable. It's got these finger grooves, which if they don't work for you, might ruin it. For me, they work great. For my extra medium hands, they fit fantastic. It feels really locked in, very comfortable. Even though the handle material is slick, the ergos and those finger grooves make me feel really locked in and very indexed, frankly. There's no real jimping anywhere on this knife. You can see there's these tiny little notches here, which I guess functionally those are meant to be jimping. They almost just feel like an index point to know where my thumb is more than anything. It doesn't feel like regular jimping to me in the sense that it's like locking my finger in place. It's still kind of slick there, but it feels nice. I like it. If I choke up, the spine of this blade is a nice comfortable spot to put my thumb. It's a comfortable knife to hold. It's not really, I don't know, it feels really weird for me to choke up past that spot. So I don't think that's really meant to be like a forward finger placement spot, but I don't know. The hollow grind on this edge is a really good hollow grind. Cold Steel, maybe it's nostalgia, but I feel like they have a way with Tantos, and maybe it's just the big Lynn Thompson energy that comes through in their Tantos, but I like Tantos from Cold Steel. I think they look cool. I think they're very functional. You get a really robust tip, and this knife, if you needed to stab into a car door like they do in their testing videos, you should be able to do it. So it's a really cool, really well-made knife. At the end of the day, it's a backlock. So like I said, I'm not going to own one. Even if this knife was a different lock type, let's say it's a frame lock, would I feel the need to buy one and own it? I don't know. Maybe. I really like how slim it is. I love how it feels in pocket. It is very, very comfortable in pocket. And I like, frankly, the size of it. It's a big knife without feeling overly large, especially because it's so slim. I like the blade that it's a Tanto. I'm not crazy about S35VN, but it's fine. Some people will tell you it's the greatest steel that's ever been created and nothing will ever surpass it. Chris Reeve fanboys. But to me, it's just passable. Part of why I don't give it more love is frankly because I get such distaste for the people who try to defend it like it's the greatest thing ever, if we're being totally honest with each other right now. But there's a lot about this knife that's very good. I wouldn't say anything about this knife to me feels like exceptional. Nothing about this knife is overly groundbreaking. Nothing is like going to change my perception of EDC knives moving forward. But as cold steel EDC knives go, this one's really, really good, especially because cold steel does a lot of backlocks. I feel like this is, to me, the most compelling backlock knife that they offer. I've had quite a few people tell me recently I need to give the 8010 a shot. I may try one of those here eventually. I'm not planning to buy one with my own money because guess what? I just don't want backlocks. I don't. And that's fine. If you do, again, if you like that lock type, cool. I just don't like them. I also have a Cold Steel 8015 here on loan right now. That one's a Scorpion lock. You'll have to watch that video to see how I feel about it. But I feel differently about that than I do a backlock. That's way more intriguing to me. So anyway, the Cold Steel Code 4 is very well made. It's got very solid lockup. It's super nice in pocket for its size and weight. Its weight isn't even egregious based on its size. The dimensions of it are good. The ergos are good. Oh, sorry. I just got weird allergies. You ever get like this just weird, like right up in like the back of your sinus, just like a from nowhere? Anyway, that's what just happened to me. This is fun today. This is the Cold Steel Code 4. And I like it. I think if I had bought this back when I wanted one years ago, not being as deep into knives, even remotely, as I am now, I probably would have loved this knife. I probably would have carried it a lot, would have used it a lot. It would have been a great knife for me then. But my tastes and preferences have changed. So I think a lot of why I appreciate this knife so much is because it kind of taps into that nostalgia a little bit. And it's almost like I was right back then. This was a good knife. And if I had spent my money on it, I wouldn't have been wrong. But alas, it's not for me anymore. So that'll be it for me on the Cold Steel Code 4. Again, follow YD Knives. I'll link to him down below. Super cool dude. And I appreciate him lending me gear like this. So I will check in with you guys on the next one, but for now, that is going to be the end of the Cold Steel Code 4, and you're going to have to watch me talk about other knives if you want to keep watching me, because that's it for this.